Okay, let's start coding the Dark Woods webpage for the Spring 2019 midterm. So let's take a look at the page. We've got a hero. We've got a H1 here, following copy, paragraph, H2. Got some text columns, learn more button, and a grid area with some tiles in it, and some text on the bottom with a regular anchor link. Okay, let's flip over to Dreamweaver. Let's get started. We've got our site set up already, our 3 default images. Let's get our HTML page started. We'll call it Dark Woods. Great, there we go. Let's save that immediately. Let's call it index. And let's create our CSS file. Let's make sure we're in the right spot. We are in the right spot. Main.css. Save that. Okay. Let's flip over there. Save index. Flip over to main.css and save that. And before we do anything, let's get our snippets in. So over here, let's get our reset. Let's get our box sizing, and let's get our clear fix. And those are the 3 that we'll definitely be using. Save that. And let's flip over. Let's get some basics set for our body. So, basic background color. Let's sample that. Take a look, and that is 1D, 1D, 1D. Let's flip back. Body. Background color, hash paste, and we'll need our font color of white. Let's verify that that is white. It looks white in the graphic. We can zoom in, zoom in. Zoom doesn't seem to want to be working too well. So we can go here, check out properties, and it is FF. That is white. Great. All right, cool. Excellent. All right, let's preview. As we know, we want to use the browser preview and not Dreamweaver, because the Dreamweaver preview does not work well at all. Okay, so let's flip back to our HTML and source code, and let's go over here to Dreamweaver view and split, and we'll look at code. So we'll have CSS on the right and HTML on the left. All right, let's get our semantic tags set up. Main, or spell main correctly. So our main in there. Let's put our header in there. And let's put our footer in there. Okay, there's our primary setup. Flip back to Photoshop. All right, so header will be our hero, basically. We've got an H1 and we've got a paragraph in there, so might as well just copy this here, right here. And let's flip back and let's go ahead and add that within the header. H1. Paste, and I know we're going to do a paragraph, and let's go ahead and grab that copy too as well. And that's in there. Great. Okay, let's finish the main section of the site. Flip over to Photoshop. We've got our hero, which we just popped in. We've got our copy block here with a button, H2 and some paragraphs, and a grid block, and a final footer area. So let's flip back to Dreamweaver and get that set up. So let's go inside of our main. Let's start adding some sections here. Got our section dot copy tab, and we have our section dot grid, and we'll tab. And then we've got our footer, and that's going to end up having just a paragraph in there. All right, so let's go grab some of that content real quick. All right, back to Dreamweaver, and let's just paste that in there. And we know that that travel and leisure, that's a link, so let's wrap a link around that, and we'll just put a hash there for now, so we have a link, and we'll save what we got. Flip back to Photoshop again. Photoshop, that's what we want. All right, so H2, some paragraphs. Let's grab this copy. Copy. Okay, so H2, let's paste that in, flip back, let's grab all this copy. It looks like we've got 2 columns, so we're basically just going to use text columns for that. So let's paste these guys in and get this set up. P, okay, let's close my P tag there. Get a new P tag here. Let's grab the rest. Okay, let's take a look at Chrome. Make sure we got stuff going on. All right, Dark Woods, H2, great. We've got paragraphs. We have our reset in, so all of our padding and everything is gone. We don't have our fonts in yet, but let's just finish getting the structure of the site in place. We know we've got a Learn More button there, so let's add that in. And I don't know where that's going yet, but we'll do Learn More. There's an extra P tag there. Let's make sure that that is not hanging out. Open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close. There you go. There's an extra one. I want to get rid of that. Great. Okay, end of the section. Start our new section. We'll start our grid section. Okay, let's take a look at what we got. We've got 4 grid elements. Looks like a 3-column grid, 2 rows, so a total of 6. So we'll be doing individual grid items and spanning this bottom guy across the whole bottom of the grid. So let's set up the grid now. Looks like we've got a 3-column grid, 2 rows. We'll have individual tiles in here, and then 1 tile to span the entire bottom. So looks like we've got a background color is slightly darker than the background of the page. In each tile we have a drop shadow, we have an image, title here, and a paragraph. So let's call this an H3 because we're already used the H2 for above. And let's go set up those tiles. So div, we know we're going to have an image. We don't really know what that is yet. And let's do my H3, and let's do paragraph. And that is basically the setup for each of these individual grid items. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 of them. Let's go grab some copy and get that set up. First one is Japan. Paste into there. Grab that and pop it up into the H3. Grab the next one. Germany. Same thing. Paste into the paragraph. Grab what is for my H3 and paste it up into there. Delete just to clean it up. England. Copy. Okay, take a look. We've got copy, we've got links. Yay! All right, let's grab some images now. Okay, let's flip all the way back up here. All right. Dark woods. Let's turn that off, and let's. You know what, we can probably just slice these guys. It might be easier to do that. So, there it is. All right. Slice this out all the way to the edge. Just make sure that's correct. Great, excellent. Okay, that one's done. Let's go grab these other guys right here. Okay, next slice. It would help if I was on the actual slice tool. Alright, we're good. There, 200 pixels high. Okay, great. Alright, now we can just copy this slice over, because they are all the same size. This one will be the same height, but not the same width. Oh no, it's a little bigger actually. There we go. Okay, because it's the height of the piece. Okay. Zoom in. Okay, that's good. All right, those are our images. Let's export these guys. Let's name them first. Let's call this one Hero. Double clicking, we'll call this one Japan. We'll call this one Germany. Call this one England. Let's keep it lowercase. And let's call this one USA. Well, North Carolina. Okay, so those are images. Let's go ahead and export. We'll go File, Export, Save for Web Legacy, because that's what we use with slices. Let's pull this over here. Choose this guy. All right, you are going to be a JPEG. Let's zoom in. Make sure you look good. 60 looks pretty good. 242K, it's not bad. Let's see what you do at 50. No, I'm starting to see some artifacts. Jump back up to 60. All right, 1, 2, 3. I'm shift clicking these guys to select all of them. These will be JPEGs too as well. And quality 60 should be the same too as well. And we should be good. Let's go done. Let's save. All right, so this is going to actually, let's make sure we're here. Make this smaller. All right, so let's go find where we're saving these guys. Alright. Site. And there's my images. Alright, so slices. I only want selected slices. Default settings, I have to check this again, because this is going to dump me into, slide that over, this is going to dump me into an images directory, which I don't want that to do. So, default says put images in folder images. I'm just going to turn that off because I'm already right in my images directory here already. So, click OK. Don't worry about this name. It's going to use the slice names for what I want. Images only, directly in here, selected slices, hit save, and that will start dumping these out. Let's take a look. And oh, actually, let's flip back over here to Dreamweaver, go to our files, and we should have all our images. I got England, Germany, Japan, and North Carolina. I'm missing the hero. Let's go find out why. Let's go back to Safe for Web Legacy. Did not have this thing selected. Save, and that should do it. Refresh. There we go. Okay, so now let's get our hero dimensions. We're looking at 560 high by 1280. So let's flip back here and let's do that. So our header. Okay, header is going to be 1280 pixels wide by 560 pixels high. And we know we want to center this, so we're going to do margin left auto. Margin right auto. Okay, so now that's centered in there. Let's get our background image in. Let's flip over to our CSS designer, so it makes it a lot easier to do that. So let's go grab our background. Let's grab our hero. Who's okay. Background size is cover, and background position, let's just call it center. 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 There we go. Set up. Why are you blocked? Colon at line 36. What am I missing? I'm missing anything. There you go, just save it. Alright. Okay. So we've got our main. Main's going to do that too. We're going to need our width. Let's pop that in there, and we're going to need our auto. Centering would be great. And we might as well do that for our footer too as well. Now we're all centered, and we're the correct width. Don't need to do a height for the main because the height will be as tall as it needs to be, and don't need to do a height for the footer because again it'll be as tall as it needs to be. Let's take a look in Chrome. Alright, so starting to shape up. I'm centered. I've got my hero. So let's start getting start getting sizes in. Alright, so let's get dark woods in there. So we need some fonts. We are missing fonts here, so let's take a look here. We're using we are using properties, we're using Germania 1, and we are using Roboto for here. So we flip over to Chrome, let's go to Google Fonts, and let's grab Germania and Roboto. Great. I know from the design, I'm not going to pick through that we're using regular and bold for Roboto, and Germania is just using the regular, the only face we have. So let's go grab the embed, grab our link, copy that, and flip back to Dreamweaver, and paste in our fonts. I'm going to put it before my primary CSS because I want those fonts to load in first. And then I'm going to grab our font settings here. Again, flip back and let's get those set up here. So let's just set some on the body. I'm just going to paste. I'm going to remove our font family of Germania from the body. We don't need that, but I do know that that is the H1, so we'll paste that in. And I know my H2 and my H3 are going to be rubato, but I know that my H1 is that. So if I flip back, I'm going to start seeing things happen here. See, fonts coming in. I don't have, and then rubato is being attached here, but no other styles are being set. So let's go ahead and set those styles. Flip back to, okay, so what do we got? 150 pixels. And we'll set that. And it is black. 150 pixels black for my H1. Font size 150 pixels. Color. Let's use hex instead. Great. And then I have a paragraph underneath that, so that is the paragraph that's in the header. So I'm going to go header dot paragraph header dot p, not header dot paragraph. It's not a class of a paragraph, it's just a p, header space p. And that is also going to be this. Font size is going to be 32, and color is going to be that. Back here, font size is 32 pixels, and color hex paste. Let's just make sure that was 32. That was 32. Great. Okay, so flip back here to Chrome. There we go. Things starting to look. We have some drop shadows on these guys, so let's take a look at those. Let's go back to Photoshop. It looks like it's white. 2100. It's our size, so let's cancel that out. And let's go put on some text shadows. Alright, so got our H1s. H1. Let's go find text shadow under text. Text shadow. Horizontal is 0. V is 0. That's our placement. Blur 21. Color is white. Done. There's our text shadow setting. We're going to copy that and we're going to put it onto the paragraph tag 2 as well. But let's just see what that one is set to. That text shadow is set to black and size of 12. So that's a quick and easy fix, because we flip back to Dreamweaver and we just change this to 12 because that's our size, and change this to black. Done. Let's take a look. There we go. Looking pretty good. Not the right placement, spacing's off, but let's go get that set and spaced. So how do we do that? Well, these two things need to work as an object inside the hero, so I am going to put a div around these guys. Space that out. And just to make sure, I'm going to give this a class equals hero text, using camel case for that, just so I can give it a name. And let's go ahead and place that correctly. So if I do hero text, let's do a display inline block because I want that to collapse to the width that it needs to be for the text to fit. And we are going to position this absolutely because we want it to be perfectly centered. So top is going to be 50%, left will be 50%, and then we're going to have to check our width in a second. So in order to have this hero text center correctly, the header needs to have a positioning of relative. Let's set that. Let's save that. Let's see what we're doing here. Okay, so we're not positioned yet. Let's make sure we got that. Got our header, position relative, got our hero text, div hero text, inline block, position relative. Let's remove this display inline block. Maybe we don't need that. Oh, no, let's put that back. Position is spelled wrong. That would help. There we go. Okay, so now we need an actual width. So let's go ahead and set this width here. Let's do, oh, well, we got some guidelines. Let's use these guidelines as guides. 762 wide, but we need a height too. So let's go ahead. Let's make it even. So this is 180 high. Let's do 760 by 180. So let's give this hero text a width of 760 pixels and height of 180 pixels. That gives us our negative margins. I can dump this inline block because I'm not collapsing it to where I need it to be. I just need it as a div in and of itself. Flip back. Okay, there we go. So we are positioning correctly right now. So we need to start modifying our margins, our negative margins, to make this work. So margin top is going to be negative 90 pixels, and margin left is going to be negative 380 pixels. And that should position us pretty good. Yay, all right, good. All right, things are a little off because we have a width set, but this text is actually not fitting the entire width. We need to center it inside our hero div, our hero text div, and that's pretty easy. Just go text, align, center. Done. All right, now we're centered. We've got some spacing issues here, so let's deal with that. We're gonna have to set some line heights here on these guys. So let's set line heights here. Let's just use our baseline grid, which is 24 pixels, and we'll see what happens there. See what that sets itself to. Okay, way too tight. That's probably before the H1 is probably way too tight. So let's take a look here. Let's zoom in. Okay, I'm going to go here up to this top, and I've got, looks like 125. So let's set that line height. Since our base line height is 24, let's set this to 124. That is 6 times that, so that gives us proper vertical rhythm. Let's flip back, and perfect. Looking good. Looking great. Excellent. Okay, hero's done. Let's go take a look at our copy block. All right, this guy is, how wide is this? 762 wide. All right. Let's make sure our section is set correctly. All right, so it's our first section. This is our copy section. Section dot copy with 762 pixels. We don't need a height. And let's do our margin left and margin right. Auto, let's just grab that, paste it in there. And let's go ahead, which I didn't set on the font family, but I can tell you is this is 16 pixels on 24 pixels. And that's what we want, 16 on 24, so 24 is our baseline grid. Let's set that within the body. Font size 16 pixels. Line height 24 pixels. And that's what we're going to be basing everything on. And when I flip back to Chrome, now things are starting to lay out. Flip back to Dreamweaver. We've got our H2s, we've got our paragraphs, and we've got our baseline. So these are full line breaks in between. So let's add that into our paragraph. So we're inside section copy now, right? So we got to stay inside of that. Section copy P. And we have margin bottom is going to be 24 pixels. That's our base. That's our base line height. What else do we have? We have an H2 in there too as well, right? Section copy H2. And that is going to be a line height of, well, let's just want line height, not line style. All right, we'll just say 24 pixels for now. We're going to go check it right now. This H2 is 24 on 32. So let's make that change, and it's using Roboto regular. So that's our standard font weight. So font size 24 pixels, and this should be line height, not list height. Line height 32. And let's go put our font weight, let's set our font weight correctly. So Google Fonts, customize, irregular is 400, bold is 700. So let's flip back over to Dreamweaver and let's go to the body, back again, and set our font weight to 400. That works out just fine because that font weight 400 is also going to be set for Germania 1, which is 400. So the our H3s are actually using bold, so we will set them there. Back to Dreamweaver. Let's flip back over to Chrome, Dark Woods. Okay, we've got our, we don't have our margin set. Let's set that, make sure that's good. Section copy, margin bottom with 2 T's. So you gotta make sure you spell these things right or they will not work. Remember, it does exactly what you tell it to do. All right, so we have a 2-column layout here. So right here, so let's go ahead and set that up. B24 width. Let's flip back here. And we have our section copy. Let's go ahead and set our column count. So column count is 2. Our column gap is 24 pixels because that's our baseline. Remember, vertical rhythm. And that's good for now. Let's double check this and see what we got. All right, great. So we've got our 2 columns, perfect. H2 needs to span across the entire thing. So let's fix that. The Dreamweaver, my H2 needs to column span all. Great. Okay. Got that, got that, got that. My H2, that's much bolder than it needs to be. And the reason is because headers always have bold on them. So we need to force our H2 to have a font weight of 800 because we want to make sure that it stays regular. 400. Give it extra space. Flip in. Great. Thinner, nicer. We need to add a margin on the bottom, just like we did for the paragraphs. Margin bottom, and that was 32 pixels. There we go. Good. All right. What's our spacing here? That's 48. That's 48. Okay, so let's do that on the hero. Back here, let's take our header right up here, and let's give the header a margin bottom of 48 pixels. Again, double our vertical rhythm. Back, there we go, looking good. All right, that's basically done. We've got our learn more. Now this is lined up with this column, so we need to span this thing an entire column. So let's put that in its own div so we can place that correctly and then go ahead and style that. So let's do that now. Okay, let's do a div, and let's call this learn more. Wrap that around our link. All right, and we're going to give this one a class equals button, and we're going to paste in that that link. For right now, I'm just going to put a hash there, but you guys will end up pasting in the travel and leisure link that we go to. All right, so this div learn more is now part of this flow. So let's go section, copy, learn more, and this should be a column span of all. All right. Text align center, because we want that A tag to be centered in it. And then we can do our class of button. Right, we know we want it to collapse down, so but still be a block level element, so we need to display inline block on that guy. Okay, so let's finish getting our button set up. We've got our button item here. Let's take a look at the font size. We're dealing with 12 and 24 standard, and our distance here is we've got 18 padding left and right and 12 padding top and bottom. So let's just make this the height that we need it, which is going to be my height's going to be what on this guy? 34 high. So I can either space it or I can just put padding. So I'm just going to do padding. So 12 and 18 padding, around 12 on 24 type. Let's get that set. Padding. All right, we said 12 pixels up top and 18 pixels left and right. That's our shorthand. Let's take a look at the font size. That was 12 pixels. Line height is the same. We don't have to change that. We'll see how that looks. We might have to change the line height on this to make sure it displays correctly. And text align center is already there. Let's get our border set. So we can do that quick, or we can just jump over to this CSS designer and set our borders. So we want all of them. We know it's going to be 1 pixel. and we know the style is solid. Let's go check our color. There we go. Let's copy our color. And it looks like the type is the same color, so we might as well do that too as well. Hash paste. There's our color. Class button. Might as well set our text color as well to the same thing. Great. Now let's see what happens here. Alright, so we've got some other styling. 12 pixels, that 24 line height is making this way too tall. So let's actually change this line height. Let's just make it 0. So we 0 it out. See what happens here. There you go. That's what we want. It looks like that's a little too tight, so let's actually make it 12, which is the height of the type. Flip back again, take a look. Much better, nicer. All right, so now we just need to style our A tag. So we've got our color set for the font, but our A tag is going to, our anchor link here is gonna change that. So we need to set up our styles. Button, love, hate, right? So link, let's set that up. Button is visited. Get rid of that space. That space does not want to be there. Next one is hover. That's the H. And what's the last one? Love, hate, active. Good, great, got it. Okay, so our link color is this, then is text decoration none, because we don't want that underline. And let's just copy that over to visited, because we don't want visited to change. Let's go ahead and copy that over to hover. We don't need, we can actually just leave it there. Let's take this color, and we're going to just fill the background of this block with the color when we hover over it. So we'll go to background color, hash, paste, double hash, get rid of double hash, and the color is going to be white. And active, we'll just move that all over there again. And what do we want active to do? Let's actually do a position. We'll do a top of 2 pixels, so it'll drop down. So let's go over the button and let's make the button itself a position relative. That'll allow it to function correctly. And then maybe we'll just darken this a little bit. So let's go to quick edit and let's just darken it. Good. Let's flip over. Let's see how that works. Hover, yay. Push down. Nice. Well, that's what we wanted. Done with the button. Let's go to the grid. Let's get our primary grid set up. So what do we got in terms of distance here? Again, this is, we're dealing with our vertical rhythm, 24 pixels, so it looks like we're at, that says 74, but we want 72. That's 3 times 24. And how wide are we going? 1020. Okie doke. These all look to be the same width, so we're going to do fractional widths. So we have 1020 wide, and we've got a margin top here of 72. So let's start getting that set up. Let's put a comment here. Grid container. Let's actually just copy that comment up here for the body copy section. Copy sections. We know what that is. All right, grid container. What's it called? Grid. So we can go section dot grid. Make sure that section is spelled correctly. All right, width is 1020 pixels wide. That's good. We want to display as a grid. And then we need that. Let's get our top margin of 72 pixels set. That's good. We know we have 3 columns here, so column, gotta make sure the template is correct. So grid template columns, that's 3, right? So it's 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR. That's what we want. Or, this might be easier, we just repeat 3, 1 FR. Done. About the same. We've got 2 rows. So grid template rows. And we don't know what those rows are. I'm just going to put 100 pixels for now, just so we can get it out. It is not what it is, but we'll just save that so it's there. Top margin, there's an error right there. Colon, missing. Great. Error here. Remember, Dreamweaver doesn't recognize the repeat commands. Let's go take a look at our heights. What we're doing here for the grids. 450 for our first row, and second one is 255. Okay, so 450, 255. Save that, and we should be able to start seeing, yay, a grid pop out. Okay, getting started. Good. Okay, let's block back to Dreamweaver. We're missing our grid gap. Let's get our grid gap in there. Grid gap is 24. Is it 24 pixels? Let's call that grid gap, not grip grab. No, 36. 36 grid gap. Remember, we got to center our block here, so margin left auto. We have a margin top set on this. Let's fix this. Let's do this instead. Margin top is 72 pixels. Left is auto. Bottom is probably going to be 72 pixels as well. So we can just leave it at that. Let's take a look at the design again. From the bottom to this footer is that would be 72. Yeah, we can call that 72, and then this footer is just really thin. So 72 top bottom, display grid, grid template columns. Let's take a look, and we are starting to look like we've got a grid happening here. All right, let's get some images in. We've already saved those images out, so let's actually pop them in. So, Japan. Let's go to Files. Let's open up. Let's go with our image source. Where are you? There we go. Source is Japan. Alright, this guy doesn't seem to want to work, so I'm going to use the browse file. Japan. Done. We'll call it Japan. Let's flip to here, refresh. Sizing, we can actually reset to original size, and it'll pop our width and height in there. So that's not a bad thing. Image again. Let's go find this one, which is Germany. Click it. Let's reset it to that size. Image source. This one is England. And we'll grab North Carolina. Okay, so reset that size. and we'll call this, let's resize that. Okay. Devil's Tramping Ground, we'll copy that. Image, Witchwood Forest, copy that to the alt. Black Forest, copy that to the alt. And Aokigahara, copy that to the alt. Okay, so now that we have our alt text, everything set up here, let's go start setting up the grid. So right now we see we have our grid. Things are misaligned here because this image is too wide for this column, so it's pushing it wider. So let's go ahead and get that fixed. So in order to do that, we need to start naming our tiles. So let's add a class here. Let's call it tile 1. And let's go ahead and copy this down to each of these divs and change the names. So tile 4, tile 3, tile 2, good. And let's go ahead and get this set up first. So our tile 4 is going to be grid column, spell column right. Grid column, I'm going to go from 1 through 4 because we want it to span the entire width. And grid row, we're using grid lines for this, is going to be 2, 2, 3. So let's take a look and see what happens there. Our column should be lined up. Now, let's go back. Let's see if I spelled something wrong. Grid column, wonderful. I got an error here. What's up? Oh, there you go. That is a semicolon. Make that a colon. Sometimes those little typos kind of elude you, but the page will always let you know whether it's working or not. So here we go. Columns are correct. Let's go ahead and start setting this up. So we want a consistent padding around this, and we want some background drop shadow here. Let's take a look here what we got. See what color we're dealing with in the background of this. 161616. And while we're here, let's take a look at the drop shadow, which is 24 pixels and most likely just black. There you go. So 24 width on the drop shadow and 161616 as the background. Let's take a look. I think that's actually might be the same color as the body. Oh, that's 1D. Okay, slightly different. All right. So our tiles are individual grids. So let's actually go ahead and give these another class of just tile, so we can deal with these guys. So now we have two classes on here, tile and tile 4 or tile 3, tile 2, whatever. So tile we're going to set as a global for all of these guys. So if we go to tile, we have a background color, and I've copied my hash code 161616. Let's save, flip back over here to CSS Designer, and let's get our box shadow in place. Tile, background, it's on border. There's border radius, and there is, there you go, box shadow, sorry, it's on background. All right, so what do we got? We got 0. We've got 0 again. 0, and our blur was 24 pixels, and our color was black, and our spread wasn't anything. Save that, flip back here, take a look what we got. All right, so we got our background here. Now we've got to get spacing correct in here because it's not happening. So let's go ahead and do that. Easy way to do that is to get another div, and let's wrap that around our copy. So let's do that. So we'll do another div and just wrap it around our H3 and our paragraph. Oh, this isn't the right spot. let's wrap our div down here. Tab in, tab in. Finish our div. Alright, so all I'm doing here is just putting an object around our H3 and our paragraph so I can go ahead and space that. So that's inside tile. So let's go to inside the div, inside the tile class, consistently for all of these is going to have a padding of 24 pixels. How do I know that? Because I'm doing I can measure it on the paragraph setting, but I know that I'm dealing with correct vertical rhythm and my line height is 24, so I'm at 24 right there. So let's flip back. So our divs, let's take a look. All right, I'm all spaced out. This H3 is way too bold. Same exact deal with the H2s. Let's flip back and let's take a look at the H2 that we did. We just need to set, so our section grid container, let's set inside the tile, in the H3, inside our tile should have a font weight of 400. It's already setting, it's already grabbing the font size, sorry, the font style. All right, that's good. And then we need to set that to the font size that we're dealing with, and the H3 is what? Properties, 20 points, 20 and 24. So we don't have to change the line height. Just got to flip over to Dreamweaver and let's go back to our H3, and our font size is 20 pixels. Font weight, flip back. Looking good. All right, what happened here? Our div's in the wrong spot. Our encompassing div under tile 2 is in the wrong spot. It's around the image. Again, doing exactly what I told it to do. That's why you always got to keep flipping back and forth. Do small changes, flip back, take a look. This looks good. Last thing here. What do we got to do here? We got to move this, we got to float this guy over to the right of this copy. Let's go back to Dreamweaver. So, scroll down. We're dealing with tile 4 now, right? So, we've got tile 4 and the image inside tile 4. We want to float that left. Now we know we got to add our clear fix, which we have all the way up here, which we've added it in. So let's just grab clear fix, and I'm going to apply that to this tile. I'm just going to add it as a class to make sure that we don't have any overruns. Flip back to Chrome, take a look. All right, now we've got some padding here. This is floating, so the padding is not going to be respected here. So what do? We need to push it out with a margin on this floated element. So we go tile 4 image. Let's add our margin right of 24 pixels. That will force our padding to work. Now I've got my H3, I've got all my copy, and I flip over here to, and I'm looking good. All I got to do is my footer. So let's head down to the footer area. And let's take a look. We got a paragraph inside the footer. Our footer is, can actually set that footer to 100% wide because the thing is completely centered. So we're okay with that. And let's text align center. And let's give it a padding all around of 24 pixels. Remember, that's our baseline. Let's take a look and see what happens. All right, centered around. It's a little too tall here, but remember we put 72 pixels of margin on the bottom here, and we have 24 around here. So let's take a look at what is going on the Photoshop doc. So All right, so it looks like we have an equal distance here. So there's 72 and 72. So why don't we just put, we've got 24 up top, so we can just do 0 up top and we can do 74 on the bottom, and that should give us our correct spacing, as long as our grid 72 margin on the bottom. So our footer is, let's keep padding on the inside, so let's go 0, and then we can do 24 on the side, we can do 72 on the bottom, and we can do 24 on the side. This will just make sure that if this text in any just kind of stays away from the sides. But that padding will also give us a nice balance here. And now we just have to set our A tag, our anchor tag. So it's paragraph, standard anchor. So I like the idea of setting all of our A tags to that same color. So I'm going to put that up here under the body, and we'll do our anchors. And let's go ahead and do our pseudo classes as well. So we've got a link, a visited. Let's just copy that, paste, hover, and active. Get rid of that space again. That's gonna hurt you in the end if you don't put that in there. All right, so color, we're not changing any font sizes. It looks like we're just dealing with the color of this text, which is DC 1212. Let's flip back. Okay, our link is paste. That's our color, and our text decoration is none. All right, let's do that same to the visited. Make it identical. Let's do our hover state. Let's just do a text decoration of underline for our hover state. Keep it nice and simple. And then active. Let's make it brighter when we're active. Quick edit, and let's kind of push it up here to a brighter color. Let's take a look and see what it does. Travel leisure, click that, getting brighter. Great. This is our Learn More button, drops down. All right, so let's, that's the same link as the Learn More link. So you just paste those links in. Make sure these guys are target blank, which you can do right here. Refresh. Blank underscore blank. All right, do that here, and let's go up to our button and do it here too as well. We're centered inside. There's your Dark Woods page.